So guys, good morning and welcome to our first class where we'll actually write programs and see them work. So the first thing I need to do is open up my IDE, and I told us that for this tutorial I'm going to be using VS Code. It doesn't matter which IDE you use. The main thing is that you learn whatever I am teaching you guys, that you follow the tutorial, and please, if you can see me right now, you will see me on my knees. Always ask questions. Wherever you're confused, ask your questions, because it is those questions that will let me know that yes, there are people following my classes. So please, whatever you think is a question, throw it to me, and if I cannot answer you, I would also research with you and we'll get solutions to your problem. So my name remain Gabriel. Now the way I set up my screen, this side will be where I'll be writing my codes. This will be where you will be seeing the output. So once I run this code here, just to print hello world. Okay, maybe I'll just close this. I don't know. I wanted this one to be there. Okay, maybe we'll just stick with the old-fashioned way. So when I run my program, you would see the output here saying hello world. So like I explained in the other video, this side is my console. Down here is my console. That is where the output of my program is printed, and this is where I write my codes. Okay, so let's begin. Now for starters, you should be conversant with this very word print. And what does it do? It simply prints whatever you put within the parentheses inside. It simply prints it on the console. So whatever type of data you put inside this console gets printed here on the console. So if I say print Gabriel like this, and I run the program, I would see Gabriel. I'm supposed to see Gabriel here on the. So why is it not responding? Let's just give it some seconds. I don't know why it is kind of lagging. Okay, why is it doing that? Let's run again. Okay, let me just kill this terminal and then run again. Delete. Let me just start all over. Run the program. Okay, something is actually wrong with my. Okay, now we have Gabriel printed on the console, and that is because I sent it to print Gabriel. And by now you should be familiar also with the fact that there are lines of code. So if I have this and I call this line 1, if this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, this is line 4, line 5, and line 6. So that way we can keep track of our lines of code. So they are simply called the lines of code. And if I come here and do Joshua, and I have Ekene here, and I have Bernard, and I have Sophia, and I have Emmanuel. Okay, if I have all these names here and I run this program, you can see I have Gabriel printed here, Joshua, Ekene, Bernard, Sophia, and Emmanuel, just in the same order as this. So this should clearly explain something to you, that Python programs are executed from top to bottom. So they are executed from what? Top to bottom. So you start from line 1 until you get to the very last line in the program, and that is when the interpreter will stop, or rather the compiler will stop compiling. Once it gets to the last code, it stops compiling. Now, it doesn't matter if I give spaces here. It doesn't actually matter. I can give spaces here. If I run this program, it will be the same as the last case, because these spaces does not matter in Python. These spaces I left here does not matter. It doesn't change my codes. What Python is doing is that it starts working like a gentleman that he is. He starts working from top and then he goes to the bottom. So whenever he sees any of this line, he doesn't care because it's not his business. That's why I love Python so much. He doesn't poke nose. Okay, you understand the concept I'm trying to, the basis I'm trying to lay. So going over what I said before, codes are executed from top to the bottom. If I have 1 here, and I have 2 here, and I have 3 here, and I have 4 here, and I have 5 here, and I have 6 here, and I run this code, you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the console. And if I decide to change this from here to here, and I run this program, you'll see 1 2 3 1 2 4 5 6 3. So you don't expect Python to say, oh, that this thing missed a count, and it will carry this 3 in line 6 and replace it in line 3. No, it doesn't work like that. Python gives you what you give into it. So it's like a giggle, a garbage in, garbage out. What you throw into it, it throws that back. So if for any reason you make a mistake, Python is not going to execute properly. So in due time, we'll go into errors that you can get while running your code. I think I've laid a basic foundation of the console and how to see your answers. Now, if you're on the mobile application and you are running your programs, so what you need to do is you click on the play button by the bottom right, and it goes to a new screen, and you see your console the same way that I'm executing it here on my Windows laptop. So that is what you need to know for how the console works, at least for now. That is pretty much the basics of the console. And all you need to do, if you've installed the code runner, which I suggested you install for those using VS Code, you can simply run your codes by right clicking. So if you've not watched the video on installation, you should go and watch it and understand why I'm running my programs this way. So now let's go into something much more interesting than printing words to the console. Now for starters, I like to see programs as a means which we interact with the computer itself, because like I rightly said in my video, computer understands only binaries, ones and zeros, which is the machine language. But we as the programmers, we speak in the high level language. So those languages that we've written will get compiled down to ones and zeros that the computer can understand, process, and give us an output. So that is generally what I like to see programming as a way of communicating with the computer. And one tool, just like you can use your mouth to communicate with your friends, one tool you can use to communicate with the computer is the Python language. And that is what we are in now. That is the business of today. So I would give us a format. I would just simply go over the syntax. Okay, syntax simply refers to how the codes of a particular language is structured. That is what syntax is all about, how those codes are structured. So I will go over Python syntax, what you need to know about Python syntax, and how you can effectively communicate with your system or with your laptop or with your phone and write powerful programs. Okay, so I will just give us a brief definition of a program. A program is simply an executable, should I say file, an executable, just we can say an executable as an executable as a noun. It's just simply an executable that the computer can process and give us an output. So we are going to use Python language to write some of those programs which our computer is going to process and give us information. Now if I want to send a message to you, if I want to communicate with you that is listening to this particular video, I would say something like, my name is Gabriel and I'm a boy. Okay, now you can understand this, right? Everybody here can read this, and you can see that, you can see the red color that this program that is shown here, and that is because Python does not understand what we are saying. It's trying to understand what we are saying, but it cannot. And you can see the red squiggly lines and the blue squiggly lines. So that simply means that though I communicated with you that is listening to this particular video, but I did not effectively communicate with Python. And for most cases, you will notice that there is a blue word here that is not underlined. This is not underlined, this and is not underlined, and with time we will go over why it is not underlined and why it is colored in this particular manner. Now the any IDE you're using, if you type is and this particular, if you type is and this and here, is going to get colored in a particular way. It must not necessarily be blue per se. So, but there will be something that to differentiate it from any other word you are using. So, with time, you will see why it is like that in Python. Now, I was saying this is the way we communicate normally. If I want to write a message to you, I will write this to you, but you are going to understand it, but the Python interpreter is not going to understand it, or rather the Python compiler is not going to understand it. So it means that we are saying nonsense. We are simply telling the computer nonsense because it doesn't know what we are saying. So it is seeing us as one big idiot that doesn't know what he's doing. So how do we now effectively communicate with Python? Now I will show you the best way to communicate with Python. You can simply say print, just like I'm going over the same thing. My name is Gabriel, but I just want you to get familiar with what we are doing. So you can see now that I have no errors, not even one. And if I run this code, you can see it gets printed nicely on the console as a sentence. My name is Gabriel. So if I wanted to write an essay about myself, I can go on and say, my name is Gabriel and I am a boy. So if I run this code, here, you would see the sentence is forming, and our compiler is clearly understanding the message we are trying to pass to it. And that is exactly how we communicate in Python. Now, to get things more spicier, I would like to introduce us to variables. If anybody, I know everybody here must have done maths at some point in their life, and you must have had the word variable. Normally they use x and y, right? X and y are the variables. X, find y. So those things are variables. Now variables simply means something that is going to be representing another thing. So sometimes I would use math as my base explanation. A variable might be x, and x is going to represent something. So in that way, x is now going to be that thing it is representing. And what do I mean? I can say name, and I will now write equal to Gabriel. Okay, now this one right here is the variable, and you can see it said variable, and this one here is the value it is representing. Okay, so this is the variable and this is the value it is representing. So this name is now representing what? Gabriel, which is my name. Let me do one more thing. Age is equal to 22. Okay, now this is another variable name. This age is a variable and it is representing 22. So you can now see that name, my, instead of writing Gabriel just like that, instead of saying print Gabriel like this, okay, I made a mistake. Instead of saying print Gabriel like this and Gabriel was to get printed on the console, I can simply say print what? Name. Okay, if I run this code, you will clearly see that Gabriel is printed on the screen, right? Yes, it's obvious. So this Gabriel now that you are seeing here on the console is actually what this name is representing. Now, very important, as a beginner, you will at some point make mistakes, and it is those mistakes I want to correct early enough. If I put this name inside a quotation mark and I run this code, look at it here. You are seeing name, which is just name, and that is because this thing inside the console, they are called the argument. Let me use the correct word, the argument. So this argument inside the console at this point is just a string. I'm going to come down slowly so that you understand whatever I'm saying. Okay, so let me just do this. I have print name and print name. So now the difference is clear. The first one is printing name as in NAME, and the second one is printing name, which is what? Gabriel. And you can clearly see that this one is representing Gabriel, which is my name, while this one is simply a string. That's just it. So the name on line 3, I think I should increase it more. The name on line 3 is just a string, and the name on line 4 is a value. And what is that value representing? Gabriel. As simple as that. I hope we are up to speed. Now, for the next example I'm going to do, I'm going to have age, and I'm going to do print age like this. Now, obviously, you should know what you will see on the console. You should see name, you should see Gabriel, then you will see age, and you will see 22. So let me run this program. Now you are seeing name, you are seeing Gabriel, you are seeing age, and you are seeing 22. So this is exactly, so name is for line 3, Gabriel is for line 4, age is for line 5, and 22 is for what? Line 6. And if you go over it, this particular name on line 3 is inside a quotation mark, which makes it a string. Let me write it by the side.